Hey everyone, welcome to this weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast for the week of May 24th through the 30th of 2021. All right, so a very important week astrologically this week. Most important thing is we do have a lunar eclipse, which will be concentrated on Wednesday. So definitely the heightened phase of the lunar cycle, and in this case with the eclipse, how can we make some shifts and changes along our life path? Now the eclipse will be in Scorpio. If you were expecting me to say Sagittarius just then, be sure to check out that link down below for more information. But yes, Scorpio here, very much about getting into the depths of life and doing things that involve personal empowerment and transformation, maybe even some healing, really diving deep with things, but releasing it to allow it to happen. It is a south node eclipse, so it is about more of the yin approach, right? Nothing really as much to do as much as it is to immerse ourselves into this personal empowerment and deeper energy of life so we can do some clearing and releasing here. So that's definitely the most important thing, but we also do have Mercury going retrograde here this week as well. So this will be concentrated around Saturday, where Mercury, the planet of our routines and communications, will be going backwards for about the next 3 weeks, which means it's good to be flexible with the day-to-day activities, with some of the correspondence and communication stuff. And so we'll start to feel that prior towards the weekend and especially the next few weeks. So anything over the weekend that is good to just sort of pause with, take a step back, re-examine, maybe go back and redo or re-edit could be a great way of working with this retrograde. All right, so we have a lot going on. There's also some other aspects with Neptune. Mercury will be conjoining Venus around Friday. So let's go and take a look at all of this here in more detail when we return. Alrighty, so here's the sky for this week. We're going to look at this for each day of the week, starting first with Monday, May 24th through Sunday, May 30th. Now, as you can see here, we are using the visible sky with the actual size of the constellations, which is very different from mainstream astrology. For example, you can see Virgo is a very large constellation here. Libra is very small. So we are taking this into account with what's called true sidereal astrology, but it does change the signs from mainstream astrology. Hence, if you were expecting the eclipse, for example, to be in Sagittarius, that is why there's a difference between systems. So if you are new, definitely check out the link down below for more information regarding true sidereal astrology. All right, so let's do just a bit of a recap coming into this week. We do have a lot of energy in Taurus. So the larger context and where the North Node is, which is very good to develop to help ground some of this deeper Scorpio energy, is Taurus, is this grounding sort of energy. So it is great to be focused on how can we really take things one step at a time right now, stop and smell the roses, connect to our senses and the sensual life, connect to nature, maybe some good meals, some of that relaxation, some comfort, some even luxuries. Taurus is about connecting to the abundances of life. But it's not just the outer abundances as much as it is the inner abundances. So it's a great time of connecting to that inner strength and inner self-reliance, inner resourcefulness, and those inner values, inner resources. So that's all very good, especially with this eclipse and this deeper energy coming out of the lunar eclipse around Wednesday, focusing and continuing to cultivate those inner and outer resources in life so that we do remain grounded and do connect to our values and nature and all these very important abundant things in our lives. All right, but Mars is still in Gemini, so when it does come to communications, there is a bit of fire there, a bit of directness. Good to be assertive, direct when it comes to communication, but also learning and gaining information as well. But this has been the theme for about the past month, so nothing really new there, but still good to implement that energy. All right, so let's take a look at the transiting aspects here. So this is going to be the eclipse concentrated around the Wednesday time period. No major aspects coming into the eclipse, coming into this week. But we will still be feeling a bit of energy from the weekend. Mercury will still be within orb of a square to watery Neptune. So again, Mercury, the planet of our minds and communications, is coming into this week in this more challenging aspect with Neptune, the planet of our unconscious and the spiritual dimensions of life. So this can be extremely constructive for things like spiritual development, maybe creativity, anything that results in more peace and spiritual well-being in our life. A great way of coming into this week. But if there is a bit of a watery mind wanting to escape or hide away or lower energy or anything like this, again, channeling it into constructive things that does involve imagination, does involve intuition and spirituality, and just all in all good peace and spiritual well-being in our life is a fantastic way of working with this, especially because the moon will be in Virgo, or at least finishing Virgo, coming into the week. And so this does involve the more personal development type of stuff anyways. There we go. Let's get this moving. Okay. So moon finishing Virgo here, Monday. So good for personal development, self-improvement, refinement, things of this nature. Now, once we do get to the Tuesday time period, we are definitely getting closer to the eclipse and we'll start to feel that energy. But the moon in Libra is all about balance. So Tuesday, just good to strike some balance in our life. If there's anything out of balance, bringing it back into balance, and anything that is about reciprocity and mutuality in relationships could be good to develop. But let's talk about this elephant in the room, the lunar eclipse, which will be a south node lunar eclipse in Scorpio. So all concentrated around the Wednesday time period. We'll probably be feeling this probably as far back as a few days before and a few days after. And it's all about shifts and changes to our life path. Anytime we have a new or full moon next to the nodes, it is a shift to the life path. And in this case with the south node has been in deep Ophiuchus this year and also deep Scorpio here recently. So it has been a time of already doing things that involve healing and releasing things from, maybe some deeper stuff like traumas or deeper wounds or inhibitions. And so now this eclipse is going to give us this really good opportunity to illuminate all of this stuff. Now, mind you, it's a south node eclipse, so it is more unconscious. It is more about things that aren't, normally that we're aware of. So whenever we have the eclipse, the lunar eclipse, it helps illuminate all of this deeper stuff. Scorpio is said to be the constellation that's all about the things that we've hidden away, put under the rug or hidden in the closet. So now it's time to lift up the rug, open the closet, see if there are some things that we can reintegrate and reaccept about ourselves, the full spectrum of ourselves, right? And this is where the real healing comes in and where some of that real deeper values and deeper understanding about what's really most important to us in life can really come in. So great to do this, great to really just be with the energy. Again, there's nothing to really do with it because it's south node, so it usually requires more yin energy, but it's a great time for being with this energy. And anything that, of course, is meditation or spiritual activity, during the eclipse time is also very powerful. It is normally a time of turning inward anyways, and in this context to reconnect with the deeper dimensions of ourselves and of our life, so that we can reintegrate with the full spectrum of who we are with the full spectrum here of life. All right, and this can be very empowering. Coming into the rest of the week, we can be feeling maybe quite healed, maybe quite empowered, quite transformed. But of course, do give it plenty of time because this is part of the whole cycle in which 2 weeks from now we will be coming up to the solar eclipse, and so that'll be starting another new cycle regarding the life path. But great time of doing this status check, being aware of this deeper stuff during this time. I will, of course, be making a separate video on this as we do get closer to Wednesday. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look here at the rest of the week. Here around the Thursday time period, Venus will be squaring up to Neptune. So there is this kind of watery energy about the week. We kind of felt this earlier in the week with the Mercury square Neptune. So around Thursday, again, if there are any over under extremes with wanting to have more peace in life or hide away, it could be involving enjoyments with Venus. It could be involving relationships with Venus, is again finding that balance between the two. So what are some healthy ways of, again, finding peace that are enjoyable and are maybe connecting to nature and resources and abundances in ways that are, providing more healthy peace in our life. And when it comes to relationships, just being aware that collectively we're under a bit of an influence here. So again, maybe a bit dreamy or idealistic, or maybe just not seeing things that clearly. So recognizing we are under a bit of an influence with that, but nonetheless connecting in our relationships in a way that is healthfully this way, right? So healthfully compassionate, accepting, healthfully unconditional, right? These are great qualities to incorporate during these Neptunian time periods. All right, and the moon will be here in a fucus, so again, healing will be a good theme, particularly around Thursday, coming off of that eclipse. Now, once we do get to Friday, Mercury is going to get very close to Venus right before Mercury does go retrograde. So usually with this conjunction, it's usually a time of maybe feeling a little bit more communicative in our relationships and enjoying a little bit more of the mental energy, whether it's gaining information or sharing information. There is that nice connection between the values and enjoyments of Venus and the mental and communicative energies of Mercury. So that'll be great, I think, around the Friday time period, but immediately after that, Mercury will be going retrograde. So again, it is good to start to redo some things. Now, a lot of people say to avoid things during retrogrades. I totally don't believe that should be the case. I think the best thing to do during a retrograde is to actually experiment, to try new things, and to go back and re-edit things from the past or things that need to be redone. So it is, of course, an important time these next few weeks to be flexible because a lot of information changes. And so it's best not to, make firm plans, but to nonetheless use this time period for experimentation, to try a bunch of different things, to make mistakes, have a plan A, B, C, and D, because information will be changing throughout this time period. But we learned so much during a Mercury retrograde, and it's such a good time to go back and rethink and redo things in our lives. So there's a bit of a pause with this around the weekend. Good to kind of pause with, these mental or routine things, because of the retrograde around the corner. And then once the retrograde starts to build some momentum into next week, it's particularly good for that implementation of it. But yeah, the weekend is good to kind of pause with these mental or day-to-day activities. And the moon will be in Sagittarius both Friday and Saturday here. So maybe a bit of an open mind and theoretical, free-spirited energy could be good as a backdrop to some of this more practical mental and day-to-day shifts that are happening with Mercury. All right, and then lastly here on Sunday, the moon will be towards the end of the day shifting into Capricorn, which will be good for a little bit more of the grounding elements of life, as it already is with Taurus. But the most important thing here will probably be this Mars trining Neptune. So now we get some easy energy with the watery Neptune stuff. So this is usually starting to feel a bit attuned to going with the flow, maybe because some of the more developmental stuff we did with spirituality or more peace in our life or more willingness to go with the flow earlier in the week, there is a nice supportive energy for that. So this is where our drives, our egos, our assertive side links up very well with our yin side, our spiritual side, our unconscious spiritual soul connection. So any sorts of dreams or ideals you want to take action towards can be great. Anything that involves, again, compassion, receptivity, acceptance can be great. It's basically linking up the fire with the water. Our short-term needs and desires with our spiritual needs and desires. And so it's a very nice harmony there going into next week with that trine, which does get stronger as the day unfolds on Sunday. All right, everyone, so that is the week in a nutshell. Most important thing is that lunar eclipse in Scorpio, deep time of unveiling the deeper dimensions of ourselves and of life, to come to some awareness and release and maybe make some shifts and changes along the journey to incorporate more of that reintegration with the deeper aspects of ourselves in life. We also do have some of these aspects with Neptune, so good to find the healthy, receptive, and spiritual and peaceful energies of life this week, healthy ways of finding peace, and Mercury going retrograde towards the week's end, which starts this 3-week process of redoing, rethinking, reevaluating, and good to, again, experiment throughout that process. All right, so everyone have a fantastic week. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to click that like button if you haven't yet. If you're not yet signed up for MTZ Insiders, definitely sign up down below. I will be releasing the lunar eclipse video first for insiders. It's absolutely free. It's a newsletter. You just put in your email and you do get it emailed to you. But yeah, sign up if you haven't yet. Have a great week, everyone, and I'll see you all next time for the next weekly forecast. Take care.